Hello everyone, and welcome to another session of creative building. This time I'd like to go in a bit of a modern direction, and I think the cliff face you see behind me is a perfect place to put a modern mansion. Of course, the view isn't as great, unfortunately, but we can deal with that. Now, with this particular build, I don't think I'm going to modify the landscape all that much, just because I want to kind of form the house around the landscape rather than the landscape around the house. So I think I'm just going to start right now with a base and forego the landscaping entirely for now until it comes time to build the house more. So, here's the base structure I've come up with so far, and I think it kind of looks like an ice cream sandwich. But that's okay, I still want to stick with it. I think adding the warm colors, as you can tell by my hotbar, that's kind of my goal here, is a good idea, and I'm going to try to stick with it until the end, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I'll just replace it with the gray. But yeah, I've tried to kind of emulate the type of mansion Tony Stark has in the Iron Man films, where it's hanging off the side of the cliff, and I think this fits it nicely, but I don't want it to be too stark with just the whites, the grays, and the blacks, if you catch my drift. So right now I'm going to finish the base, because it's not quite done, I still have more to do, and come back then. One of the main pitfalls I find myself falling into more often than I'd like to admit, building with modern design, is too much detail. So what I did here is I tried to limit it. Now obviously right now it seems pretty complex, but hear me out, this is actually quite a simple build. It's all either horizontal or vertical lines. There's hardly any diagonal except for these two down here. So I've tried to keep it that way and not have too many clashing lines, only a few, and have everything kind of sit on top of each other and blend in with each other without having too much going on. Now, right now, obviously, like I said, it looks like there's a lot going on, but it will start to take shape once I begin to add detail. So what I want to do now, in order to help it take shape, is fill in all the outstanding spaces like the roofs and the sides, just so we can have a better visual of what's to come. With the simple action of filling in all the open empty spaces in this build, it suddenly seems a lot less cluttered and a little more, house-like. And actually with that, the detail on the outside is pretty much done. There isn't a lot going into it in terms of fine detail. It's all in the shape with this one. So you can see it's basically just complete. There are, of course, some smaller details that I can add, but I want to do that later on. So I guess my point for that is, don't be discouraged if your framework looks super duper messy. Chances are it's just the framework itself making it look messy, and once you fill in the spots with solid colors, it'll start to take shape and you'll have something you can work with in detail a lot easier. Anyways, what I want to do now is I want to move on to the inside, where you can see it is quite full of mountains. So I'm going to quickly clear that out and give myself a little more space to work with. I have made an awful mistake. Can you guess what it is? I forgot to add a front entrance, and considering that this is a house, the front entrance is quite an important part. So I'm going to add that and then clean out the inside. Because you can't have an interior without a front entrance, right? Here we are at the bottom of the hill underneath the house, and you can see I've made myself an entrance on the side of the hill, and I've just fallen, okay? Yeah, so you come in here, you get swooped up by the fancy water elevator, quite modern indeed, and you can see that I have cleared out the inside. I've also added a sort of back entrance to this balcony over here. I just thought it would be appropriate to have kind of a path snaking around the mountain, so I put that in as well. Anyways, now that we've sorted out the space issue on the inside and added proper entrances, I'd like to do the same sort of thing I did with the exterior, which is to fill in all the open spaces with blocks in order to make it a little easier to work with in detail later on, so we're going to do that now. After puzzling for far too long about what materials to put where, I finally have a basic design layout for the interior. Now, right away you'll notice that it is very open, and that's for a very special reason. You see, I've used ice for the windows. I've kind of cursed myself with that, and you'll know that natural light is necessary to light up a build with ice because artificial light will melt the ice. So, I don't want my windows turning into water on me now, so I've tried to let in as much artificial light as possible, and that means having a very open room. Anyways, before I show you the rest of the house, I'd like to finish the interior and add the detail it needs to look lived in, so we're going to do that. And by artificial light, I mean blocks like these that can be used to light up builds when daytime is not present. And this is exactly what I wanted to avoid. It looks like I got a little bit too carried away with my end rod placement. Oh well. Hey, at least we get a free pool. I mean, that's a plus. Can't really argue with that. Window melting shenanigans aside, I've completely finished the interior, so I think it's a perfect time to show you around. And I actually want to start in this entryway instead of the one down there, because this has kind of become more of the main one, considering it has closets on either side, and a storage spot up front, and a big giant archway to top it all off. Here's the place of relaxation with our fancy solid quartz couch. Obviously this person favors looks over comfort, but you know, that's none of my business. Of course, we've got our super duper flat screen TV and our giant speakers alongside, as well as 2 coffee tables for symmetry. And just to fill the space, you know. Off to the side and under the stairs, we've got our spare bedroom with a hilariously ineffective closet. There isn't really much space for anything, seeing as the stairs are right there, but, you know, it's just mostly for show anyways. Got a small bed with a nightstand, and for some reason, the only entrance to the main balcony. It's just the way it fits, so that's the way it is. Heading on up the stairs, we have ourselves a little bit of a loft with a nice view to the swamp, so maybe not actually that nice of a view, and a small table with some flowers and some very cushy and cold chairs. Heading on downstairs, we brush past some ineffective curtains, and we have ourselves a little kitchenette in this alcove. I didn't really find any other place to put it without it seeming too out there and busy, so I thought I'd hide it away in the corner here. Turning to our right, we approach the master bedroom, where warm is the color of the hour. Well, not really, it's not. Warm isn't a color. Warm colors are the colors of the hour, let's say that. And there is a design flaw right away. You bump into this, the walls open up. But you know what, I think the aesthetic makes up for that. Yeah, I wanted to make this room warmer than the others because it's where the owner of the house would be sleeping, so it's where the most comfort is found, I guess. And of course here you've got some closets as well. Moving back into the hallway, we've got ourselves our fancy bubble elevator exit/entrance that goes down to the ground down there. And in here we've got ourselves a bathroom, which I think is my favorite part of the house. It also took the longest to make. Got ourselves a towel here, a mirror here. This is a BOO design. I saw it in one of his videos, and I thought it's a pretty cool way to hang a half towel, since, I mean, a full-length banner wouldn't be that effective as a hand towel, because it's too large. And then here we've got some piled towels of my own design, where they're just snow layers, basically just piled up. And we've got our walk-in shower, some shampoo bottles, and the most ineffective place for a toilet. I mean, this house is a very large celebration of ineffective places for things. But you know what? It's the only place that I could fit it. I didn't want it to look too awkward here, so that's where it's going to be. And then finally our little tiny washer-dryer setup, because all houses need a place to clean clothes. And that's it for the interior of this modern masterpiece. Well, masterpiece is subjective. I guess you can decide for yourselves if it is a masterpiece or not. And yeah, I really enjoy interior design. I think it's one of my favorite things to do, especially for modern builds, because I can spend hours upon hours on small details and still not get bored. It's just super engaging. Anyways, we've got one more task to complete before we can conclude this video and the build, or the build then the video, and that is sculpting the land around it. And I originally said I wouldn't do that, but there is still a little bit of stuff I can do just to make it fit with the hillside a little bit more. So I'm going to finish that up right now. 3 solar panels, 5 trees, and a bunch of dirt later, and we are finished with the terraforming. Now, you'll notice that I didn't actually do that much in terms of terraforming, just a couple things to do with the shape of the hill and the trees and solar panels, of course, because I didn't want to overwhelm the house. I felt that if I did do too much detail, it would detract from the attention to the house and would make the build a little less impactful, so I didn't do it. And since that was the final step in this build, this video is now done. So I'd like to thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and more importantly, I hope you took some kind of inspiration from this video into building with your own worlds and your own time. Anyways, that's it from me. If you enjoyed and would like to see more, please consider subscribing. I'd greatly appreciate that, and see you later. Goodbye. Have a fantastic day. And finally, to our right, we have our washer-dryer setup, because, of course, we need to do our I cannot talk. Key it. Speech therapy.